we're back here on the platform and speaking with two gentlemen who are resident, two Bahamians who are resident in Beijing, China, and they are seeking to develop certain foreign direct investment initiatives out of China. And at the break, we were talking about culture and whether or not Bahamians are prepared to be receptive to China. But you mentioned earlier on that we have a whole lot of Chinese products in our straw market.
And the issue is that I had an opportunity to speak with the vendors that they don't want to travel to China, but they're left in a position where they don't have the resources to make them in the Bahamas.
Good. But so they go to Florida.
They go to Florida
and pick up their goods and bring them and ship them to the Bahamas
so
for sale in our straw market.
So what they're asking for is for a manufactory to be built in the Bahamas, where they are willingly prepared to sew their own goods and to produce their own bags, but there's any that medium for them to do it isn't there. So they're left with either you don't have products to sell, and you know what that means, you can't provide for the basic necessities, or you go to stop over to Florida, get a bag, print Bahamas on it, and you sell it. I mean, so I think we probably as a country we didn't make provisions to preserve our culture to prevent these things from happening.
I'm happy you talk about the preserving of our culture. Because, you know, we are a copycatish kind of people. We have certain cultural influences in the Bahamas. And the Bahamian identity, some people believe, is jeopardized by our propensity to latch on to certain cultural influences that come to bear in our society.
Very true.
And we have Bahama that is coming on stream. I'm sure that they are going to have some Chinese businesses there, Chinese workers and all the rest of it. Should Bahamians fear that?
Well, I think now, as we become more mature as a country, when we were younger as a country, I think, you know, us being we came from England. They were once an English colony. And that was our first real influence on our culture. Now, after a while, we shifted because of the United States with its geographic location and the media coming from the United States onto us, we kind of shifted more onto them. But I think now we're kind of leveling out into what we want to be.
Really?
I think so. I think we're leveling out more as to what we want to be. I don't think as other countries around the world now, when the Chinese investor comes heavily into Africa, into Europe, into South America, you don't really see too much of an influence of the Chinese culture on that culture.
Yeah, but the Jamaicans, for instance, they have a dominant culture. Their cultural identity is intact. But you go to African countries, Nigeria, Ghana, or whatever else, they have a strong cultural identity. Do you have a strong Bahamian cultural identity?
This is the problem, Mr. Jones. It seems as we lack an appreciation for what is Bahamian. And secondly, there's some who believe that everything foreign is better. The problem, this is the beginning of the problem. You walk down Fish Fry, you don't have Bahamian music, but you have Jamaican and American music. That's the problem. You can't have a historical tourist attraction where you don't have Bahamian music. And you have taxi. Now, and when I come from the airport, I also go into the taxi driver because that's where you get the real understanding of what's going on in the Bahamas. And they would always say that, man, every time a tourist comes into the cab, they say, man, where did the old Nassau go? I remember you would have been able to go into the local nightclub, and you know, the other day when when Winston Gus passed, and one young Bahamian said, I don't know what it was, and I look at him, I said, how don't you know the leader of the Valley Boys? But this is the reality we're facing. People simply don't know, and if they don't know where they come from, then they're going to take on a new identity of who they should be. I think so.
So we're doing a poor job in educating our people and in imbuing them, infusing them with this Bahamian identity.
I think that's correct.
Yes?
I think that's correct. I don't think we have enough what is Bahamian when we are growing up. You know, we on the radios we constantly hear American and Jamaican music, and that's what we grow to love as the youth of the Bahamas.
Well, look at the reality. If you look at the basic cable, we have, what, 3 Bahamian channels, and everything else is American. So your whole way of thinking has been shaped through the American prism. So, and that's going to be a big issue, because now we're so tied onto the United States. Whatever happened over there, it just collapsed our economy, because we've simply said that, you know what, we're going to cling on to this economy. We're going to do what they do. And we haven't been able to perfect what worked for the Bahamas. We can't stand on our own. It's an issue we have to start to discuss. We're losing our culture. We're losing our identity as Bahamians. We're growing up a generation of Bahamians that don't know what it is to be a Bahamian. And then you have this crime problem. And so you're starting to see the variables of the problems now and why it's happening.
But do you believe this is happening in China as well?
Yeah.
Believe it or not, Mr. Jones?
This is becoming American.
They have what they call now the McDonald's generation in China.
Yeah.
And what that is basically there's not a globalization, there's an Americanization of China. And the media, America has a very strong, although some might disagree, they don't have a distinct culture because it's multicultural, but they have a very strong influence on countries that they enter. China right now doesn't have that problem. When they enter into the country there, they don't really generate, as you see, the thousands that are here. Culture-wise, we really don't feel much. You know, we have a little, the Valley Boys, it was their theme. But in reality, even some of the things that they broadcasted were basically just elements that they've seen on karate movies for many years. So it's not really mainland China is pushing their culture. They themselves are complaining that they are losing their culture from other Western influences.
Mainland China wishes to push their products, their goods to the West, because that is how they are growing their economy.
Well,
by exporting goods to this part of the world.
listen to this. I think this might be an interesting point. In economics, this is what we learned. Believe it or not, it's not 100% accurate that the import and export of goods in China is what's growing the economy. It's actually foreign direct investment.
Investment is driving it.
60% of the manufacturing side of China is from foreign-based partnerships.
Yes, but foreigners are investing in China.
Yes.
Chinese are making money
Yes.
because of the amount of products that they are able to export.
Yes.
And so as a consequence, they are able to build these buildings that are touching the clouds almost now, because they have the financial resources from money earned outside of China to invest in China. Yes?
Very, very true. And also now you have
And then they're lending money to this part of the world. The Americans owe trillions of dollars to the Chinese. And Bahamians are going to owe a whole lot of money to the Chinese.
Well, when you have this country who has this enormous economic growth, they have a new reality.
Yes.
China's an aging population, and when a lot of people saw the they said they're going to reduce they're going to be more lenient with the one-child policy. There was an economic reasoning behind it. They're saying that we have majority of our population is over 65%. That means that's a lot of pension we have to pay.
Over 65 years old.
Over 65 years old. That's a lot of pension they have to pay, and so they're trying to close that age divide, so they're actually being more lenient with the one-child policy now to really begin to address that issue, because they're trying to introduce new economic reforms and trying to keep an orderly society as well.
Okay.
And that's the problem the issue they're facing.
You were with Mario Carey Realty, as I said before, Daniel Lowe, and you are seeking to get Chinese to buy condos in at Bahama.
Yes, that's one side.
Mhm.
You know, if they wish to seek to buy private residences for themselves, that's great. You know, the Canadians and Americans have been doing it for years. But the thing is, as we spoke earlier on the phobia, because Canadians and Americans, they are so similar to us, we accept this. They speak our language.
Mhm.
They don't look much different from us. They like pretty much the same food we tend to like. So we don't notice as they are doing it.
Yeah.
Now, when the Chinese comes, because they have a different face, they eat different foods, they speak a different language, it seems like it's more of an impact because they are so different from us.
But I don't know if the Chinese are interested in exporting their culture. They are mainly interested in making money.
That's right.
Hutchison Whampoa
Uh-huh.
in Grand Bahama is a Chinese company.
Yes,
Yes,
that's
it
right.
is.
And right now, they are the largest investor in Freeport, Grand Bahama.
Mhm.
You don't see the Chinese culture there,
No.
but you know that the Chinese money is there, right? Hutchison Whampoa owns a hotel. They own part of the airport. They own part of the port. Right? They have bought out the Grand Bahama Port Authority in many areas. Right?
Look at the industries you call. You're looking at, you see the tourism industry. They own the port. I mean, they bought the port and the airport.
Yes.
And that's the flow of distribution channels of goods coming in and out of the country. So I think that's what we're trying to create, to continue to have that partnership and to build that. I spoke to the Minister of Foreign Affairs in Beijing, and he said that the government is no longer accepting loans from countries. What they're going after is a public-private partnership.
PPPs.
And and foreign direct investment. That's going to be the new way forward because they can't continue to go on with the reckless borrowing.
More developments mean more money is going to come into the country, more opportunities for Bahamians. The unemployment rate goes down. More money is distributed throughout the channels. A higher standard of living for everybody.
It's got to come. It's a trickling down effect.
But we are talking about markets now for Chinese goods. And I still contend that the market for Chinese goods, if you're talking about a big market, it's really not
Well,
just.
No,
That's not.
It's the United States. Isn't
no.
it?
Let me reiterate this point I'm trying to say. Grand Bahama is the shop for it's the shop location for the market. The Caribbean is what they're going after. But we want them to set up in Grand Bahama. And so we believe that the Caribbean in itself is an untapped region. And if you add up the population of the Caribbean, and it's a really large population. So we think even if you look at the United States, Grand Bahama enjoys that proximity to the United States, and they have a proximity to the Caribbean as well. I think that these two geographical benefits is what we're looking at.
Okay. Let me ask you, you think you would find more Bahamians like yourselves, young Bahamians, residing in China and taking advantage of the opportunities that you're talking about?
I think, to be honest, I'm confident in it. I look at when the first set of Bahamians went to England, and they met and they discussed the great issues of the Bahamas, and they came back. And
now you're going to have them meeting in Beijing.
We meet in
right.
Beijing.
Shanghai.
Right, that's
Shanghai.
right. That's right.
And we were meeting.
We're meeting, we're learning different cultures, because it's not, what people don't understand is Beijing is a hub for all the world. So sometimes at a table I have close friends from Belgium, I have close friends from Luxembourg, from Rwanda, from Burundi, from Algeria, from Kyrgyzstan. You know, we discuss the success stories of our country, we discuss the failure stories of our country. We are a very young country.
Absolutely.
And we learn what they did, what they didn't do, what worked, what didn't work. And we're using this and bringing this knowledge back to help us as the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Instead of just using North America as an example for us, we need to learn from the entire globe.
And to add to that is, being in China, you have access to so many different individuals. One day you walk into a place, you meet the CEO of a company or a chief editor of the local daily paper. So you meet contacts, you meet people who are prepared to help the Bahamas and prepared to help you. I remember I was talking to the business editor of the China Daily. I asked him, I said, what's your thoughts about the Bahamas? He said, my only concern is the Bahamas have a coking addiction to tourism, and that could be very frightening. Because once that tourism industry collapses, then there goes your economy.
Well, I have a funny point on that, in regards to the tourism industry, and I'll reiterate this. The Bahamas is a gem. We have a product in regards to the raw land, the archipelago of the 700 islands and keys. This is unmatched around the world. Now, the infrastructure, the actual things that are built upon it, that's debatable. Money can do these things. That is foreign direct investment. It is up to us as Bahamians whether or not we want to accept this FDI or we don't.
Well,
because it's right, it's there. All we need to do is basically, this is what the law is for. The government is not a Mickey Mouse club, okay? The government should be ready if they tailor the laws, like Mr. Rahming said earlier. The FDI comes in and you protect the Bahamians. So you make the funnel so that it's safe. We don't want the ecology, the ecosystem to be damaged. We don't want that. We want our children to swim in the water as well.
Yeah, right.
We want to swim in the water.
Yes.
We love the water. So we want the development, but we don't want to hurt the little man. We don't want to hurt the middleman.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I thank you both for being here today. We are flat out of time, and I believe that you are two emerging globalists who are seeking opportunities outside the Bahamas, particularly in China. And I thank you so very much for coming here, sharing your views, and educating the public.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you so very much. And come back soon. And when you come back next time, bring something for the table.
Okay.
All right?
Next time.
All right, good. We want to some Chinese eggs or something, eh? Thank you so very much for watching and listening to our program today with Latrae, Rahming, and Daniel Lowe II. Good evening, everyone.